And then he has his second run in the WWE where he's really stagnant, doesn't really do as much. And, then, he leaves the company, and as many of you do know the story, he eventually goes on the Hulkamania tour, has a pretty good run right there, and then there were several reports, even prior to his death, that he was going to be re-signed by Raw Wrestling Entertainment, but unfortunately, he passed away before that was actually going to occur. But, we can only speculate how good or how bad that would have eventually turned out if WWE was going to go by do its traditional way of re-signing guys, really not doing that much with them, guys like a D'Lo Brown or whatnot, and just bring them in and really not do as much as they could do with them and energize that character. But, as I mentioned, I will discuss some of my favorite matches involving Umaga. And the first one that really comes to my mind is his match with John Cena at the Royal Rumble of 2007. And, I think Umaga was one of the first guys, along with Edge, to really make John Cena look like $1 million in the ring. At this point in time, and many people may disagree with me, I wasn't the biggest John Cena fan in the world. I think his character had just gotten way, way too stale. People were booing the hell out of him, turning him heel and whatnot. But Umaga, to his credit, looked like an ultimate badass heel. And he really took it to John Cena. And John Cena took it to him. And they had a knockout, drag-out fight at the Royal Rumble. It was one of the best matches that I've seen in the WWE in quite some time after looking at that. And that eventually led to John Cena facing the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, at WrestleMania 23. And, they went from there in that great Raw match they had. But I think it all started with a guy like Umaga really just really making John Cena look a lot credible in the ring. And vice versa, too. I can't just give it to Umaga. I think John Cena did the same thing, really helped out Umaga. But I bet that's where it all stopped. The WWE pretty much stopped right there with Umaga. And eventually he becomes the Intercontinental Champion. And right when he became the Intercontinental Champion, I was like, this guy is going to really, really be something for a very long time. And he's going to re-energize that Intercontinental Championship picture. And this is going to go into my second memory of him. His angle with Bobby Lashley. I mean, what the hell was that, really? It didn't make any sense in my opinion. If you're going to have Umaga and Bobby Lashley face each other, for goodness sakes, at least have it like a straight up match without this Donald Trump and Vince McMahon BS for the background. And I just did not like that because it pushed these guys all the way in the back and it made it all about Trump and McMahon instead of Umaga and Bobby Lashley. And I think that's where their characters really started to suffer. Even Bobby Lashley, who I think has no personality, but nevertheless, I don't want to say his push, but the credibility of his character, I think, was just stopped right there. Even though he won at WrestleMania 23, I still don't think it was a really good idea to do that. Umaga, as the Intercontinental Champion, should have been defending the damn thing at WrestleMania and making it look credible again. But that wasn't the case, and then you had Umaga lose, and soon thereafter, you had him job to Santino Marella. Just the WWE just does this crazy ass booking stuff with so many people. It just really drives me nuts. There's no progression in many of the characters, especially a guy like Umaga, who had the manager, he had the talent, he had the voice in the manager, he had the skills in the ring, he had the presence, he had the look, he had the gimmick, he had it all. But the WWE just failed on that gimmick, in my opinion, and I don't think he was ever the same after that. And even during the times they kept trying to rebrand him, he wasn't the same. And then they took Estrada away from him, which was the ultimate horrible thing, in my opinion, that the WWE could have ever done, because there's nothing wrong with having a good manager with a mouthpiece. And the WWE could have done a whole lot better, in my opinion, if they just stuck him with Estrada, let him roll, and eventually, probably defeat John Cena at SummerSlam of 2007 for the WWE Championship. You never know. I mean, it would have been, some really, really good stuff, in my opinion. But, another one of my favorite, feuds or matches that he was involved with was with Kane. I think him and Kane had some pretty good chemistry. I think it was in my opinion, one of Kane's last really, really good feuds in the WWE. Kane and Umaga, both really big men, both agile. Kane with the height, Umaga with more of the width, but even quicker than Kane was. Really would have been really good. And of course, the feud, they feuded for around 2 months around that time, and unfortunately, for Kane, Umaga won a loser leaves Raw match, and Kane was sent off to the SmackDown brand, of course. But, after pretty much being separated by different brands, Umaga and Kane, they had one final match at that Cyber Sunday pay-per-view where Umaga pretty much defeated Kane again, and after the fans selected him over, the man, many may not speak of, Chris Benoit, and the Sandman, to be Umaga's opponent for the night. But, Umaga, is just one of the mistakes in the WWE, in my opinion, that character. They're not mistakes in a bad way, mistakes in a way in which I mean that the WWE just failed on capitalizing on this guy's momentum. I wouldn't quite equate him to Samoa Joe's downfall in TNA, but I think you have to equate them some way, similarly in a lot of ways, because, both guys had a lot of momentum, they had a lot of promise, but both companies just killed that off with 1 or 2 angles, which could have been, even better in my opinion. And, it's just too bad that happened in the WWE to Umaga, who I think, if booked right, could have been one of the best wrestlers, in the modern era in the WWE. And as I also mentioned, there's one more that I have to discuss that I actually enjoyed a little bit, and that was Umaga's feud with Batista. It really wasn't a long feud, but they had a match at WrestleMania 24, and I thought that was a pretty decent match. And I know many people may not think that, but I think Batista had back-to-back really good WrestleManias, and WrestleMania 23 with The Undertaker, and he had a pretty decent match with Umaga. And unfortunately, Umaga lost to Batista, and that would really be the last WrestleMania for Umaga, who, if everything was really booked well for him around 2007, he could have been a main event guy for a long time in the company. But, not everything will, matriculate to what you think it's going to. But, I can't really, do a lot of what ifs in the WWE, because there's so many guys in the company, and not everybody's going to be pushed up top. But I just think Umaga was real special, and I think he could have really done a lot of good things in the WWE. And let's face it, John Cena didn't have a lot of adversaries around that time in 2007. And instead of feuding with HBK for so long as he did with the face-to-face kind of feud, I think it would have been unique if the WWE had brought that angle back up to life and allowed Umaga to be the WWE champion, and eventually, have Cena winning the belt back. But it would be a pretty cool trade-off. But, anyway, also forgot that, Umaga also had a pretty good feud with Jeff Hardy. And they had a match at WWE One Night Stand in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And, of course, Umaga lost. But both guys put on one hell of a performance that I don't think is going to be forgotten too soon by many fans. But, overall, Umaga, from his being on Raw and being drafted to SmackDown, his departure in 2009 from the company, and so many other things in between, I just think this guy is very, very special in the history in the WWE. Easily, in my opinion, one of the most talented wrestlers in the WWE not to win the WWE Championship. And regardless of whether or not you think the guy was championship worthy, or whether you think he was, a mid-card guy who really should have stayed in the mid-card, one thing is very certain: he was a very good entertainer in the ring. He really brought a lot of joy to a lot of fans in Japan, brought a lot of joy to fans on the independent circuit, and brought a lot of fans in from the big time, the WWE. And just simply put, one of the best, in my opinion, agile big men to ever lace up. Well, he didn't really lace up boots, to ever really wrestle in the ring. From his stint in 3 Minute Warning 2, which I covered a little bit a while ago,